everyone. So we'll be learn in the very first step. We'll check out with how to start designing. That is, Answers has got a capability of allowing you to deal with designing, because we cannot expect every person to have a CAD tool with them, right? Uh, so we'll be trying to show you certain tools. If you are even getting started with CAD for the first time, you can just use the space claim tool, and you can design your simple geometries. And coming to the part of complex geometries, so you can also use any other CAD tool if you are familiar with it, and you can incorporate the geometry into workbench, and you can continue it to take it further for the simulation part, right? So in first one, we are going to check with how to start using space claim, right? So before we need to work on the simulation, we need to have some geometry with us, right? So that geometry we'll try to create it now. So I'll just share my screen.
Excuse me, madam.
Right, so I hope my screen is visible now. So yes,
Yeah,
sir.
actually, screen was not visible. That was a telling.
uh,
It's visible. It's visible.
yeah, that was because I was trying to change my screen. Yeah, so before getting started, you can either start with launching SCDM, which stands for Space Claim Direct Modeler. Directly, you can type that, or you can start launching your Workbench first. So we'll see from Workbench once. So whatever latest version you have, you can run that. So after 17, you have a space claim incorporated into the Workbench window. Before that, you don't have. So whoever is trying to deal with the space claim, they should have the latest version after 17. Right, so we'll show you something like, meanwhile, uh, before getting into space claim, what exactly we'll try to do is, we'll try to show you different modes available. So that can be your sketch mode, or your section mode, or once you complete draw sketching and adding your third dimension, you need to check with your third dimension part, right? So 3D geometry you'll be able to see. Then we'll let you know how to deal with planes. So how to design, how to place your plane when you try to sketch over the existing model, or try to directly work on any sketch. So relative tools will be checking. Then we'll try to sketch for 2D geometries and other modeling tools available, we are going to check, right? So once you are done with that, we'll try to also work on little things, that is the tree structure, whatever geometries you are creating. So related to that, certain tools would be there. So we'll discuss that, and display tool will be checking, right? So let me check if my workbench is open. Right, so this is the workbench window. So from this workbench window, to directly launch your space claim, you can go to component system, and under your component system, you have geometry. I hope this is visible. So this is your geometry. Just double click on it, or a simple drag and drop would also be sufficient to draw it, right? So to get a component. So the first toolbox what you see is of analysis system. So different system combining together can give you a analysis type, that is either you want to deal with model structure or CFD, CFX, whatever type you want to deal, you can deal with it. Or directly only working on mesh, only working on geometry, or only working on the material part. So directly you can take one single component, you can link them, and then you can attach a analysis type to it. So these are the two different ways to work over it. Then we'll try to launch our space claim. So here in this first component A2 you have, right? So just double click on this geometry. So from here, a space claim separate window will come, where the entire geometry, designing, sketching, everything you are going to do in the same, right? So, and up next you have, so let the screen open, then we'll try to work over it. Right. So initially it takes little time to launch depending on the type of configuration you have. So yeah, so once you launch the space claim, first thing we would like to do, anybody trying to work on space claim, they should make sure that they change their axis to XY, and after that they need to start designing. And you can check your different types of units existing. So in which unit system you want to work it, or specific if you want to work on or so these are the basic requirements when you try to work with any type of designing tool, right? So we need to check, like right now we have X and Z as the sketch plane, right? So we need to change it to XY. For that, one have to go to file, and whatever uh, changes you want to do in your tools ribbon related thing, or any kind of look appearance you want to set in a customized way, so anything changes you want to do, you are going to make in this space claim options. Yeah, so this is a pop-up window which appears to you. Then to change your units, you can sorry, to change your axis, you need to go to advanced, and you can see that there exists a top view direction. So from that, since we want to sketch it on X and Y, we need to keep Z as a top view. So we'll take Z as a top view and click on OK. So the person who is facing problem with not able to launch space claim and all correctly, so they can try switching to the latest graphics available, so that they are able to use it correctly, right? So you can, this is how you can check your change your axis, right? So now whatever changes you want to do, from now on you need to, you will be getting XY as a sketching plane, but the initial one you need to just close it off, and you have a XY as a sketching plane. So this process you initially have to do when you install it for the first time and you haven't used earlier. And once you set it, it will continue the same, and anytime you want to change, you can change it, right? So the next thing you can do here is you need to also check the units, right? So once again, we go back to file and space claim options, and directly you have units. So radians you can define, then length in terms of millimeter or meter, or you can just select the type imperial or metric, right? So these are here, you can change your units and just say, you can also choose the symbol you want to see, and then okay. So now whatever changes you have done, it is all set for you. Then we have different tabs. So file tab is similar to any kind of tab you use in your MS Office. So you can take a new screen from here. So you can either use this screen for designing, or you can also use it for creating your views. So you have existing models available, and you can also take a empty sheet and you can start creating your drawing sheet. And this is open one, which will allow you to open the existing file you have worked earlier. Then you have this save to save your model and save as, right? So this is how you can work, and this is exit to come out. Or directly you can also use this close one, this also will work for you, right? So we have set our plane, we have checked out file, right? And then these are your different shortcuts available here, right? So this will allow you to move on to 3D mode once you have done. So now you cannot see the plane existing here because we have come back to our 3D mode, right? So you can go Control Z, any operation you are doing, to undo it. And then this will allow you to sketch on surface or any kind of plane you have, you can sketch over it. And this is to set your view, so that is plan view. So we'll see to XY plane, right? So, and this will allow you, the first one is your orient. So different views you can manage from here, and this plan view is basically to check your sketching plane, right? From home, this is orientation part from sketching one, and this is line command, which will these are line command what you can see, which is under your create section, and different tools related to sketching is also existing here. So if I have to sketch a line, so I would select a line, and uh, so you can also choose define from center, or you can directly place it anywhere, and equally it is going to space it. Then you can define the distance or angle you want to have it, right? So if you uncheck this one, this from center, you would not get it. And to come out of any command, you can use the escape from your keyboard. Then we'll try to take it a length, and we specify some 50 mm, right? So we have got a line which is a 50 mm. Then escape to come out of the command. So this is our line. Then in order to sketch a circle or rectangle, you can just take the tool from their create tool, and from it you can choose whichever you want to have it, right? So this is a modify tool, right? So which will allow you to remove your it will allow you to have a rounded center. Likewise, let me take a rectangle and show you, right? So this will allow me to have a rounded part, and I can choose the next point, or I can also define the radius at how much I want to have it, right? So 5 mm I have defined, so a radius of 5 mm is here. Then this is a trim away. So whichever is the unnecessary part you want to remove it from the sketching, you can just select and click over there, and you will be able to delete it, right? So this is blend tool. So if you have any straight line or any existing curve, you can change the angle of it, right? So you need to just select it and define how much you want to make, right? So just come out, right? So you can define the angle you want to have, or directly you can use it like this also. So these are different tools existing for sketch. So this is 3 point circle. So I don't think I'll have to explain too much in detailing here. And these are your dimensions tool, which you can uh, create your dimension. Just select the edge of that and just drag it. You'll be able to get the dimension of it. So these are different dimensions related thing you have here. So those constraints you can check when you are exploring it. And the best way to learn space claim is you can use your answers help, and directly in space claim, step by step, every tab is being explored there. So you can check, right? So we'll take a new screen and start with another one, that is, if I have a rectangle, if I need to draw, so I can specify length and breadth of it. And since I am done with my sketch, I need to add a third dimension. So in that case, I have pull with me. So this pull allows you to define any sort of third dimension you want to add it. So generally when you use any CAD tool, you have different commands to have sweep, revolve, blend, or draft. So in that case, under this simple one tools pull, we have all relative features to add third dimension here, right? So you can just drag your arrow, so and you can specify the length till where it can create a third dimension there, right? So you're in your Z direction, we have specified the third dimension. And the best part about this is, like, you can edit your geometry just by picking up your edge or surface, or you can select the surface and start sketching over it. So this is one of the best example here, like using the same pull command for adding the third dimension. What exactly we can do is, we can also pick out this one edge and just, you have mini toolbar available here, which will allow you when you work on edge related things. So what all features are available to work? So you can create a round or a chamfer there, or you can extrude your selected edge in any direction, like direction you can do it, or you can copy your edge, or also you can make it a pivot edge. So that is also possible. So if I have to select a single edge, so this one, if I select and select with extrude edge, so these are two ways where I can extrude my edge. Right now the arrow will let you know, and you can extrude it. One direction is this one, and once again when you select the same edge, you can select the opposite one, and at any point of time any edge you will be able to pick, and you can work accordingly. Just in the direction of arrow you need to work, right? So this will allow you to work in this way. And the next one is, when you're working with edge, you can also work creating a round. So you can define the angle at which you want to have a round. Directly just pull in the arrow direction. So if I say 5 mm, so it has created a 5 mm round for me here. And in the opposite direction, chamfer, if you want to add. So since this is, I need to come out of the command, control Z, and I'll select this chamfer, and I can define how much I want to have a cut. So after this also, since you are still existing in pull tool, you have arrow directions available for surface. So if you click on this one, you'll be able to get back your result once again, whatever was the existing product for you, right? So this is how you can work on this. Then if you want to sketch on the existing surface, you don't actually need a plane over here. You can just take the same sketch surface, and you can from your design get back to your sketch mode, and you just pick out what exactly you want to draw, and just come back to your 3D mode. So now you will see on the selected surface you have created a circle. So either you can make a hollow there, or you can add material to upward direction. So you have plus and minus existing here. So plus means you want to add material, minus means you want to remove the material. So if I had to add, then I need to select the plus and then add it in the direction I want to have, or if I want to reduce the material, just select in the opposite direction. So this is one way, and the other way is you can select the surface which you want to remove and or add, then you can get back to up to tool. So you are specifying a reference till where it needs to add a material or remove the material. So you just have to select, and the reference you can give. I'll give this plane so that it's trying to cut out till here, right? So this is how you can cut it. Then now we have this geometry here. So if I have to split this one, so we'll get back to design once again. So generally when we are working even on different types of mesh or applying certain boundary conditions, there are certain requirements that you'll have to work on specific component, and that too you need to split your component into two or more parts. So in that case you can go with split body, and you can, to split a body we don't have any reference as of now. So before going to split body, we need to have a reference for this one, right? So we'll go to move, and we'll take a plane. First we'll place a plane here, then move it to certain directions. So you will be able to orient this plane in XYZ, and also you can move it in XYZ direction. So I will just move it as of now in Z direction. So negative Z direction I'll move it, and I can specify particularly till where I want to place it. So this is how I have placed my geometry, I mean plane, and the reference I have created. In this design you have intersect. So just get back to split body from that section, select the body which you want to break down into two or more, and you need to provide the reference. So now you can see this is a separate body, this is a separate body, right? So if you need this plane you can keep it or you can hide it. So this is how we have split our geometry. Now the next point comes, if you have to split your surface. So to split a surface, we need to go to the split. Under same intersection one, just select the split, and you can select the surface and place your pointer wherever you want to have it. So you can see the ruler here where you can adjust it as per your requirement, right? So This is how we'll try to split, and you can also remove unnecessary edges whichever exist here. So to remove those edges, first come out of your split command, press your escape, and then you can pick out a particularly edge which you don't want to have in this surface. So just click on delete. Now you can see we have only this part getting split into two, and the existing one, whatever it was there, we have removed it, right? So this is how you can remove your extra edges to have a particular geometry specifications when you have, right? So then the next part comes is, if suppose I have a cylindrical object, so let me show you up here. I have a cylinder, so I'll just create it, and using design I'll add third dimension here. So under design you have edit, from there you can pick out your pull command. So at this point I have a cylindrical surface, and I want to have certain projection. That is, if I want to sketch something on this surface, for me it is not possible to do, right? So let me try to select the surface and get back to design and say sketch mode. So where exactly it is creating a edge point, it has taken as a reference, and there it has given me a sketching one. So whatever I do will not be exactly projected on this cylindrical surface. So let me show you on. So right, so this is how I sketched it out, and when I look at my 3D mode, it is somewhere playing placed in the exterior but not exactly on this surface. So in that case, what exactly I would need is, I will have to take this and remove and show you exactly how to take. So first we'll take a plane, just go to plane and select the axis you want to have it, right? So I have taken selecting a y-axis and taking a plane here. Then I can move it at the place exterior of it. So just let me move on somewhere here, so that whatever I sketch on this plane should get projected on this surface, right? So this is my plane selection, and get back to sketch mode, and you can also set your plan view here. And now when I design anything from sketch mode and come back to this 3D mode, now I can exactly take this 2D and project it on this surface. So to do that, we'll get back to once again design, and we have split. So just take this project, and you can see that it is projecting on the cylindrical surface. Since this surface is selected now, and just say green check, that is. So this is how, when you hide this plane and a 2D surface, you are able to get the sketch over this cylindrical surface, right? So in this condition, if you have to add third dimension to this one, just from edit go to pull and define it how much you want to have. So just select pull and add material, and you can define how much you want to have, or directly one more thing you can do, that is you can take this projection and go to pull once again and say up to, so you can define the surface. So this is how you can take the projection. So these are the two different ways you can use as per your requirement, and at any point of time you want to edit this radius, you can also do it. So from 25, if I make it 20, sorry, so from 12.5 if I make it to something like 8, so I'm still able to work over it. Or this one, if I have to make it something 2, so any point of time I can work over it, right? So as I told you, I can split a body and give a reference. So last time we have used a plane, but here we have a external surface existing which can play as a reference. So you can just take this, and so you have two different solids. Now in this condition, if you, so when you have created your geometry, you created it using two solids or three solids, but later if you want to combine it, so in the same intersect you have combined, just check over it and select your two different bodies, so you are able to see once again a single solid, right? So this is how you can use your combine. And yeah, so, and if I have somewhere here a rectangle existing or any other geometry, right? So these are the two rectangular surfaces I created, and I add certain third dimension here. So if I have to, if I have to move any of my object with respect to object, so earlier we have seen how to move a plane, but using the same move tool you can move any of your geometry. So three times left click of your mouse button, you can select the entire geometry and you can move it anywhere you want to move. So this tool can help you out in terms of assembly as well, right? So you can select it. If you're not able to do it from here, just place cursor on different components you have, and you can select it and you can place it anywhere you want to place it. Then once again we'll get back to the next tools. So in the next tool you have a direct cylinder creation, you can do it, right? So you can just take a cylinder, right? So we'll take a plane and try to create it. So you can define a cylinder, how much length you want to have it, and you can define the radius or dia of this as well. So directly you are able to create. So this is the section mode where you are seeing right now, and then you can just get back to once again your sketch mode. So this is how directly you can do it, and you can also add sphere here or equations if exist. If you want to work on certain equations, that also you can do, right? So this is the existing one, and if I had to create something like shell kind of geometry, so in that condition you can use your shell which you have under this create one, and select the surface which you want to remove and the thickness you want to have it. Right now you can see here this is 1 mm. You can edit it as per your requirement, and also in the opposite direction you can add.
Ma'am, I
So
have one
this
doubt.
is your shell, how to use. Then you can have a plane here, and if you want to work on mirror kind of thing, so you can just use your mirror, and the plane where you want to place it, you need to select and click on the object. So when you click on this object, you have this setup mirror and stop mirror. So exactly when you are working on this setup mirror, you may feel that whatever changes you want to apply on one mirror to one mirror object existing, I mean the first object what you have created, you can uh, reflect the same changes in the second one without doing anything. So in that condition, you can just randomly create mirror and leave it. But in case you don't want to see the mirror reflection happening uh, to the next object, then you can click on this remove mirror. So now whatever changes you will make here, basically it should not reflect to the next one. So just come out of the command, select the edge, or will add certain feature. So here, now when I clicked on there, directly I get a maintain mirror or remove mirror. So click here. So whatever, just click here before starting your operation and just define it. So you are not able to see the reflection in the next one. Right, so if you want to move it again, since this is coming as a single solid, you can break it on using your split body, and you have fill here, which will allow you to fill the existing open edges whatever exists, right? So missing face, you can say here, if we have to have a closed geometry here, so in that case you can go with fill. So this will allow you to fill the selected one. So you can select the surface and just say green check. So now you are able to see a surface existing here. So this surface you can use as a reference, and if you want to have a uh, complete like not the hollow part or the shell kind of object, if you don't want to have it, then directly go to pull, and you can just add once again the same, that is up to, and provide a reference. So this has become a solid, complete solid geometry. Right, so this was something related to how to use your sketching tool. So basically we have seen like how to have a 2D sketch or add dimension. Then this is something called as selection one. So you can go with the tree structure for your selection, or you can use different selection procedures. Like this one, it is first let me deselect this one, then you can go with using box and select your geometry. Right, so this is your selected geometry, and as we already discussed that in sweep we can work on revolve or any other kind of third dimension adding, that is uh, to have a sweep kind of thing. Right, so we'll show you how to work on a sweep as well. So since you're going to work on CFD, you may need certain like you need to define certain geometries which has got a pipe kind of cross section. So in that case, this may play a important thing for you initially when you're getting started. So we'll take once again a new, and Okay, so we'll set our plane. Right, so the rest part I can eliminate it. Right, so this is some kind of geometry which I can use it to create some revolve kind of geometry. So I'll move this out even. Just a second. So I'll show you how to add it. Yeah, so we'll trim it off and get back to pull. So from pull you can go to your revolve, and first it will ask you to have a axis to rotate it. So you can define the axis where you want to rotate it. So if I say in this way, so you can see it is going to revolve it. And just select the object you want to have, and you can move it in this way, or you can just use your full pull so that you can have a complete start to end. Right, so directly you are able to get a full rotation kind of thing. And like, I hope you understood how to use this revolve one. And the next one we are going to see is a sweep one, how to create a sweep body. So for that we need spline, or even a single line you can use it instead of spline. So we have created a path where we want to have a sweep, then we need to have a profile, right? So in case of sweep body we need profile. For that we'll select this point, and you can have a plane there. So at this point you have got a plane. Come out of selection and you can choose the plane, and get back to sketch, plan view. So in this condition you are getting something like this. So instead you can set it from your global axis, right? So you can see that this is your start point here where you have started sketching. So just take it from here. We'll show it once again. So this is your 3D mode, and get back to design and pick up the point, and this plane you'll select it, go to sketch mode. Now you can see that you'll have to sketch here. Right, so once again get back to the 3D mode. So we have our path ready and our profile is also ready. So once you sketch your line, make sure you're coming back to your 3D mode. Then you'll be able to pick out the selection for this path profile, right? So we are ready. And then this is the command for sweep. So just select first your profile, get to your sweep, and then you can choose your trajectory, and you can move it, or you can, so in this case you are manually moving it out, but if you want to have it a complete one without a breakage like here you got, you can go with complete selection, or select this and define your path, and you have sweep, select your path, and full pull, the same you can use it, so that it will directly create up to the complete trajectory what you have specified, right? So not only with the sweep, spline kind of line drawing, you can randomly, when you want to create some points and just have a line there, you can go with the spline one, or else you can use, depending, you can use your sketching skills and you can design it. So this is how we try to create using pull and move. Fill we have seen. Modify tool will allow you to modify your existing 2D sketch, and you can delete the excess one, right? So this display, under this design one, you can move on to 3D drawing part when you deal with it, and you can set your different orientation of your 3D geometry. Also you can check your sketch mode. This is your section mode. So at any point of geometry you want to have a section of it, you can go with this section mode, and from there also you can start sketching. Then intersect we have seen, move we have seen, fill we have seen, then a mirror we have seen, offset it is usual, so we are left out with seeing certain pattern commands. So we'll take a new geometry, then right, then I'll add a third dimension. You can select the same sketch plane and design it on the same, right? So this is one, and you can go for 2D, 3D, anything you want to work on the pattern. Then you can select your circular object. So first you can see here the commands will help you out to what selection you'll have to do when you deal with particular tool. So you can select your first circular pattern or linear pattern or any. any kind of fill pattern. Requesting everyone to please mute yourself, right? So you can select your circular pattern, right? So then you can select the object which you want to have it, and you can, as you can see here, select a linear edge, curve, or an axis to uh, pattern it, right? So you can select your axis. So when you select the axis, you can see it something like this, or depending on different axis you select, you will be able to see. So in my geometry, I could see that Z is the one which will help me out to have a circular pattern around it, right? So you can define it one number of count, how many you want to have it, and specific angle you can specify it. Like you can say if I change it to 5 and make it 180 degrees, so whatever is there, it would come in this 180 degrees only, right? So you can see here. So and you can make your changes as well, or you can any point of time you want. This is just a representation that where it is going to create. So once you click on this green check, you would get your object ready here, right? So this is how you can use any kind of tool, but in terms of linear, you need to specify the pitch, how much it needs to have from one object to another object, so that you can specify, and the count you can specify. So basically we'll try to show you a sketching one. Like we have to sketch, if we need to sketch something this kind of geometry, how do we have to deal, or how do we start sketching for it? This is a workshop which I'll be showing you. So far it was just the introduction part of specific tool. So for that, you can see in the slide that we have a object, and which we have a dia of 0.75, and the exact one will try to create it, right? So we'll take a new design. So you can see that the dimension here, it is 4 inches by 2 inches. So we'll try to change our units for this first one. So we'll go to file, space claim options, or you can convert it and you can use it. So we'll change it to imperial so that we have it in inches, and say okay. Right, so we'll sketch now a rectangle of oh, so the dimensions have not yet reflected. I need to click on OK. Click on OK here, right? Then we'll start. So now you can see we are getting in inches. we'll try to have a 180 degrees like half circle. We'll have it here. So for that we can go to this tangent arc, and once again we do the same to the opposite side. We'll remove this excess lines from here, and we also had a circle existing here. So we'll get back to the circle and take 0.75, the same here also, and we also had here 1a and here 1.5. Right, so we'll move on to the pull. So we'll try to have a height for this 5, and if you look at this geometry here, yeah, so in this section we had this extruded part, so we'll have the same. Remove out this part, select this internal part, and so 2.25, or you can will make it to 2 also. Anytime you can modify it. Then we'll have to sketch on this plane. Get back to sketch mode, and we do take a rectangle here, and once again get back to 3D mode. So right now you can see here, and we'll select the surface, given up to command to this one. Right, so now you can see that we have created. Anytime you want you can edit it. So next we need to have a full curve, right? So for that you can select the surfaces, right click, and you can say to have full round. So this will create a complete round here, and you can define a round feature here as we have already discussed. So we can give it of 0.2 or 0.15. Right, so we have given it here, and we also need it in this parts. So you can just select the edge, and you can give a round. right? So this is one of the simplest workshop, it's not required. So this is how you can create a geometry. So this was it, like how to deal with space claim. And the other main important aspect of using space claim is that whenever you import a geometry from any other CAD tool, so you know that the GUI of ANSYS is different, and the GUI of other CAD will be different, because depending on the scripting what they have used. So there can be a chance of having data loss, that is like some of your solid bodies could get converted into surface bodies because of some surface going missing, or certain extra changes could happen, that is your edge could get broken, or interference can happen, that is one object can enter into the environment of another object. So those can also happen. So these things will be seeing in tomorrow's session, how to do a cleanup part when you import a geometry, right? So now we'll be seeing how to deal with meshing, right? So we'll show you how to work on different kinds of when you have a meshing one, right? So we'll show you how to deal with it. So I hope space claim part is clear to you all. So we'll delete this one. And as I already told you, that when you have to work on next part, that is meshing, so you can directly launch your mesh from here, and you can import your geometry directly and you can work. Or you can also do one thing, that is you can import your geometry. So you can go to import, and wherever you have your geometry you can pick out from there. So if I have to open a mesh file, then I need to go with import and go to importable mesh file. So I have a valve geometry here, which I'll open it here. Right. So meanwhile it is opening, we'll try to check with certain uh, meshing knowledge what is required to have, right? So we'll check over it. right? So we have a mesh related file which I'll be showing you. Yeah, so I hope my screen is visible. So yeah, so when we talk about generally meshing, so we try to discretize our geometry, right, into small pieces, and that pieces in terms of CFD, if we talk, we try to deal with control volumes, and in any other simulation if you are doing, we try to deal with elements. So for that we try to uh, discretize, as I told you. So for that also there are different methods existing in order to mesh your geometry. So that could be totally dependent on the type of geometry you have, so or the type of element you want to add it to your geometry, right? So we'll be checking before getting into the mesh, like what we are going to learn in today's session. So we'll be learning meshing methods related to different parts when we are dealing. So how do we take it in terms of single part or in terms of assembly when you are dealing, how to do with it, we'll be checking, and what are different methods which follow, what the type of algorithm related to that, right? So when we deal with 2D kind of meshing, what happens, or what elements are being assigned, how the elements are being like capturing the region what you are assigning for the mesh, or tetrahedron, either we have to go with tet elements or hex element. So when and where to choose what kind of meshing you can do, right? So we'll be dealing with that today. Yeah, so as I told you that when you import a geometry, basically you will have to remove the errors happening due to GUI change. So those things you can do it in cleanup operation, and the next part would be you will be working on your mesh, and there you apply boundary conditions and try to get out of your uh, pre-processing and get back to your post-processing part, right? So where you will get your solution depending on your inputs what you have provided to it. Yeah, so the different modules, what exactly is needed for you to go deal with mesh, so the core skills will be checking. Then in the second module, as we discussed, that will be trying to see different methods and how to check mesh quality. Then global controls we try to check, that is if you deal with a complete assembly kind of geometry, how you are able to apply changes, or how you're trying to deal with it, or local controls. So this means that on a part when you're working, you're trying to work on edge level or surface level, or you want to have certain refinement in your elements. So how do we deal with that based on a surface or a edge or any single part you want to work? So that will be checking. So mm, like first question what comes is like, why do we have multiple methods to mesh our geometry? So like as you can see in the screen, like depending on type of physics, so if you are dealing with any kind of like structure related, or if you are dealing with any kind of explicit kind of behavior, dynamic behavior, if you want to check, so in that case the physics is changing. If you're changing working with CFD, your physics is completely changing, right? So in that condition you may have to choose different methods depending on the geometry also, and also like whatever is so it is not necessary when you work on a part level or like complete assembly level, you need to have one type of method. You can go with multiple methods, like you have assembly where you have simple geometry existing and where you have a complex geometry. So the mesh method can vary to both the parts. So you can have multiple meshing methods using that. So as you can see in this geometry near to the wall, they need to capture the boundary layer gradient, so they need a very good kind of mesh in that region, right? So we can have a better mesh near to the wall, right? So you can see if you're working on 2D problems, your meshing method changes. If you're working on 3D kind of geometry, your mesh would change. So depending on the type of your geometry or physics you're dealing, your mesh methods would get changed. So the first part is, as we told, that we have methods for tetrahedral method, method and hexahedral method. So what exactly means, like what kind of elements are being adjusted in terms of hexahedral or tetrahedral elements, we are going to see, right? So now as you can see in the first figure and second, third figure, like the best thing what we have to understand is what the type what you use, which will give you the fastest uh, uh, it should mesh in such a way that when you keep it for run, it should give you quick results, right? So the how do you get the quick results? When you have less number of elements and nodes, right? Because at every node there are particular equations being solved, and then to if the number of element is getting increased, then number of equations are also increasing. When your equations increase, then it will take a longer time to simulate it, right? So you need to make sure that you have less number of, as far as possible you need to make sure you have less elements, and so that you can increase your computational time, that is you can have a faster solution, right? So based on that you can select which kind of element do I need to go with. So as you can see, you have hexahedral and tetrahedral elements when and where to use. So very below if you see that these are the clean kind of geometries, like sweepable bodies we say generally, so which has got a uniform cross section, or they have got good kind of mesh. So in that condition you can go with sweep kind of mesh. And the complexity level for this kind of geometry is very less, so you can go and mesh it using hex elements, and you can get your fastest results. But if the elements is like geometry is having little more of complexity when compared to the first level, then you can move on to complete hex kind of meshing, and you can get your results. But in the very first, if you look at it, the level of complexity in your geometry is very high. So in that case, tet elements will be the most suitable one to capture the entire region. So now you may have question like, what if we don't know how to which parts are capable enough to go with which kind of method? So you will be seeing in the next part, like when we go to the workshop, we can decompose our geometry, and like for sweep, when we say, we can actually ask the system to show which are the sweepable bodies after decomposing it. When we know that there is a uniform cross section existing, we can split it and we can have a sweep kind of mesh in that region. And so thereby sweep mesh is, since most of the elements accommodated for this one are going to be hex, your number of elements count, it is not going to be much compared to the tet one, right? So you are able to reduce your element count and equations you are reducing, so you can have a fastest result. And for any kind of geometry you want to deal with, first you need to have a very clean geometry. Make sure you need to perform a cleanup operation when you take it from any CAD tool, right? So in terms of like a tetrahedral mesh, if we see, we have basically two methods. So one is patch confirming and the other one is the patch independent one. So how mesh is happening in case of patch confirming or patch independent, we are going to check it. So if you look at this geometry in patch confirming, you have a geometry which has got sharp edges. Though the geometry is clean, it has got a sharp edges existing, right? And you also have a geometry which is having geometry is dirty, and still certain surfaces are there which you can work on it in during mesh and you can get it. So how does this actually work? So in terms of patch confirming, as you have seen in the first image, that there certain sharp edges exist. So if a meshing starts first with the edge one, then those edges are being easily captured first, and then the meshing is taking place on the surfaces, and then whatever elements have to be accommodated in the volume, complete volume is being meshed. But this is completely reverse in case of patch independent, because first the volume is going to be meshed, and then it comes to the face, and then your edges are being meshed in this condition. So for both the kind of meshing you would want to deal with, you need to have a clean geometry, and you can give a inflation control in the same one, right? So so this is the basic difference in terms of patch confirming and patch independent. So we'll show you on the next one. Yeah, so if you look at this one, you can see that there are proximity and curvature change, size function they want to, they have uh, they have added a proximity and curvature kind of thing, right? So generally what happens is, like, when you have two or more edges near to it, so to fit a element it will be really difficult. So whatever default size you are saying, or particular size you are saying, may not be able to fix in those regions. So exactly we try to add proximity and curvature, that is, and when you have two edges in those regions, the element should be fixed correctly in terms of proximity and in terms of curvature. So wherever you have angular surfaces existing, and you need to have a mapped kind of meshing in those region, you can choose with curvature, and you can have a mapped kind of mesh. As you can see here, this region is being mapped to meshing using curvature, and here you are going to use a proximity kind of function here, right? So you can change it in the mesh, in you can get your results there. Yeah, so in terms of patch independent, as we have told, that although a clean geometry, but still we can have certain defeaturing. If you look at this slide, we have said defeatured surfaces exist. That means certain surfaces are there which are not even. So in that case, you can define the defeaturing tolerance there, and based on that you can mesh your geometry using patch independent, right? So now if you look at the same geometry you meshed using patch confirming and patch independent near to this edge, you're able to see that a very good capturing and a very small element size by default it is being added in terms of patch confirming, and in terms of patch independent the detailed are being ignored in this case. That is the edge where it needs to have a good kind of mesh, so that is being ignored here, right? So you can go with it. And the next one is hex kind of element, right? So hexahedral kind of mesh, if you want to deal with it, there are three possible ways available for this. That is, one is your sweep, multi-zone, hex dominant, right? So hex dominant generally it is not recommended for CFD, but you can go with multi-zone and sweep in that case, right? So now you can see the geometry here when you deal with a hex kind of mesh, and when you deal with a TET kind of mesh. So in terms of hex, you have 19614 elements, whereas in terms of hex, it is 48738 elements. So definitely wherever possible you can have hex elements so that you reduce your uh, numerical count of elements, and then you can have fast results, right? So in terms of this detailing, we are directly going to see it in our workshop, right? So we have imported our geometry. So once again, I'll let you know how to import the geometry. So first go to file and then import your geometry and check your this is not exactly a geometry import, this is a mesh import. So you will have to import it using uh, .mesh. That file we generally use it to import. So you can see whatever import uh, extensions are available. So these are the extensions in terms of export and in terms of open. So whatever you have saved your file earlier, you can go to open, and these are your extensions what are possible to have it. Or if you want to import a geometry, so in terms of a geometry import, you can just go to import, browse, and these are your possible extensions. You can import it for your CAD too. Okay. So we'll delete it off and launch our meshing window. Yeah, so this is the valve geometry you can see here. And for this one, we'll just suppress this solid body, and we have this existing part with us. So as you can see, first we discussed that in terms of sweep body, you can check whatever sweepable bodies are existing, right? So before doing that, you can directly go and say generate mesh. So this generate mesh is nothing but a automatic based meshing you are trying to add it, right, without giving any sort of input. So based on system understanding, you're trying to mesh it. So this is how by default when it is meshing, it will try to analyze which part is capable enough to deal with which element. So if you have no clue of which element to be added, you can use automatic and you'll get to have an idea like which part is capable of which one. Or uh, if you have certain element specification, then you will have to work on different methods and check which method will work for you, right? So first we'll try to go and say show and check with sweepable bodies. So sweepable bodies, as you can see here, like when you deal with a sweepable body, you can define it based on element size, or you can define it in numbers of division if you want to switch it. So this, the sweep path figure what you can see here, this is like in terms of 360 degrees, how many uh, sections you want to divide it, or this is divided into 90, so how many you want to have it, you can define it. And also there is an advantage for you that you can define the start and an end point from where it has to start and where it needs to end, right? So the same way, and most of the elements being accommodated here are the hex one, and wherever possible it is going to add wedge and pyramids, right? So depending on what automatic, when you add, So any kind of mesh, whatever is the suitable way, it will add. And in terms of hex methods, wherever possible, it will get added pyramids and wedges. So these are the three bodies which are capable enough to have sweep kind of mesh. So we'll directly go to mesh, insert, and we'll add the same method to this one, like go with sweep. Right, so we have taken this sweep, and you can define, as I told you, number of divisions, or based on element size you can define it. So right now it is by default, and you can also do one thing, that is, you can define your source and target. So either you can add both source as start and end point, I mean to say, as a manual one, or you can move with manual source. So let's add the manual source here, and we'll try to go with surface selection. So here you have vertex selection, edge selection, surface selection, and complete body selection. So we'll add the three surfaces as a manual source one. And in the next step, we'll try to add to this part, that is one part, I'm selecting it. Yeah, so we'll move on to this part. So using complete solid selection, complete body selection, and I can add method once again. And for this kind of geometry, if I had to go with tet patch conforming, so this is how I added patch conforming. And the next method is like, for this part I would like to add here is multi-zone. And in detailing part, you can change it to like surface mesh method which you want to use it. So you can go with multi-zone here, or like in terms you can change it to uniform or program controlled. If you have no clue, you can change it here. Right, so we have defined the meshing methods for this body, and these three bodies we have assigned with sweep, and this part we have given multi-zone. Also, what you can do is, like, you can also add meshing methods to your edges and all. So to add a edges one, you can go to edge selection, select one edge, and all this edges I'm selecting it. And right, so this edges single one I have selected, and you can go to selection and say extend to limits. So complete circle edge, complete circular edge is selected, and you can give a sizing for that particular edge. So edge sizing, so as of now it is taking 18.6907, and you can add it to something like 0.5 or 0.8. So in this way you are able to divide your edge in terms of number of like element size. Based on element size you are defining it here. Then you can also do one thing, like just generate mesh, and then later you can check. Right, so as you can see here, this mesh is being mesh for this body is being very big, like very big elements are being accommodated here. So you can give a sizing here. and say generate mesh. Right, so far just we have defined the methods here. So as you can see, the next method what we have is for multi-zone. So we have already checked how to check with sweepable bodies and apply mesh mesh for that. So in this kind of geometry you can go with the multi-zone. So when you want to deal with hex kind of mesh, you can choose either sweep, multi-zone or hexahedral method to add it. So this was one of the method, and you can see that you can change the map to face type also here. So either you want to add hex, pyramid, prism kind of elements to it, or which one. So the next one is like we have seen for uniform one. Right now we have added. So you can also go with pave kind of thing when you have surfaces which have high curves existing and so in that case you can also go with pave, or you can go with the combination of pave and uniform, that is with program controlled. We have checked, we have seen it, right? In so you can also add like number of cells when you have certain gap existing near there. So you can uh, give a element size to it, or edge sizing you can give to have a better kind of mesh in that region, right? So this is the automatic mesh what we have initially taken, and just we said generate mesh. So it based on like system understanding, wherever there exists certain sweepable bodies, that it will identify and mesh it using hex elements, and wherever it has no sweepable bodies, in those cases it is going to go with the tet method, that is patch confirming one it will take, right? So far we have seen till here. Yeah, so coming to the part of local controls. So whatever this edge sizing we have given, so this is coming under the local controls. And also we can do one thing, that is, as we have seen in the first slide, that where you want to capture your boundary layer condition, and so there you need to have a very refined mesh near to your wall, near wall effect, if you want to capture it. So for that reason you can do one thing, that is, you can select a particular geometry, and that is go to mesh, insert, and you can go with inflation directly, and select your geometry where you want to see the effect of your inflation, and you need to define the boundary where it needs to have it. So for that you can go to your surface selection and just hide all these other bodies, so that you can see the surface, internal surface of that, right? So I'll just right select the body and hide it. And to define the boundary for this, you can select these surfaces and just say apply, and you can check how this inflation is working out. Right, so if you look at this part, so when you select this part as a reference one, so your inflation is going to be created here. So you need to select this surface to have a inflation on this part. So you can change it. Once again, you can use the selections. and the external surface and click on this boundary and just say generate. Right, so let me show this inflation on the next part once and then we'll activate this one. Right, so you can directly have a multi like directly from the method itself you can add inflation. Just click on the method what you have defined under your mesh and check for inflate this method. Right, so when you keep on this one, so define the boundary for it. So this is the part where we are going to define it, and you can change this inflation option to total thickness, and you can define your minimum size for this. So and then you can check with generate mesh. So for the earlier also we can change this total thickness inflation option, then we'll be able to get that one. Right, so this is the object where we have given the inflation one. So for this part also will change the inflation, that is from smooth transition to total thickness, and define this maximum thickness for it and say update. Right, so this is done for the body here, and you are able to see that we have created the boundary layer effect here, and the internal one also we can break it off and we can check. So to see how meshing is happening internally for these two parts, when you add a inflation one, you can just go to home and take a section plane and cut it. So from here you are able to see that this part we have not added the inflation, and these two parts we have added the inflation, and it is showing us the boundary layers being created, that is inflations being added here. Right, so one can check the element quality what they have generated. So depending on, like, if you want to check with your element qualities you can check it here, or if you want to check for your aspect ratio, that is we generally say one is the good one, so nearby one when we have to get it, so you can see where your burst mesh is being created, so that you can modify it from here depending on size change or control change, because to these parts we have not given the mesh controls correctly. Only we have defined it how to this multi-zone body and to this patch conforming one, right? So to come out of this section plane view, you can get back to your section plane and just uncheck this one so that you can have a complete symmetry here. And once again, get back to the details of mesh, and you can check cueness or like a orthogonal ratio, if, orthogonal quality if you want to check, or skewness, Jacobian ratio. So depending on what kind of qualities you are checking with, so relative criterias, you can check it, and you can always explore ANSYS help for any sort of detailing of tool you required, or how this works. So I think this is sufficient for a day, like, and